This morning, we shall be looking at three critical issues in our politics, starting from Ondo State. Last week, the People's Democratic Party and its candidates in the last year's Ondo gubernatorial election withdrew the case against the election of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa at the Supreme Court. And the governorship candidate, Alfred Agbola Ajayi, promised to work for the unity and the development of Ondo State. And that is the first one we shall be looking at this morning. And last week, the brother to the former governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, I refer to Isaac Fayose now, alleged that a woman came with one engineer Ojo to visit him in Abuja, and after they returned to Ekiti State, that he alleged that the Ekiti State government and supporters of the current governor of Ekiti State, Biodun Oyebanji, got the woman arrested, and that the woman is currently sitting in the gulag. We shall be looking at that from the perspective of the use of state power against the opposition. Then we shall also be looking at the back and forth between the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and Nigerian human rights activist and the presidential candidate of the AAC in the last general election, Omoyele Sowore, as regards allegation that Nyesom Wike owns what billions of naira in the United States. Nyesom Wike had been in government for over 20 years now. He had been local government chairman. He had been a chief of staff to the governor during the regime of Rotimi Amechi, and he has also served as a Minister of State for Education, the governor of Rivers State, and currently is the Tati versus Fayose from the aspect of public accountability. Once again, I welcome you. In the next few minutes, I shall be bringing in our guests for today, with whom we shall be taking critical looks at this topic. Please don't change the dial. Welcome back. This is still Political Perspectives on iPower 102.7 FM, A Mureile Owo. And let me start from the case of Isaac Fayose versus the Ekiti State government. Let me read a portion of the news today from the popular online news platform that Sarah Reporters. Prince Isaac Fayose, younger brother of former Ekiti State Governor Aide Fayose, has urged the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, to intervene in what he described as judicial abuse in Ekiti State. This was on the case of a woman controversially remanded in prison because she allegedly took photographs with 5-year-old woman Abeleje Oluwatoyin Ilori before a chief magistrate court in Ado-Ekiti on September 15. She was accused of defrauding one Philip Ayodele Owoju, head of State's Peace Corps and a political appointee of Governor Biodun Oyebanji, of 3 million naira. According to the prosecutor, Ilori committed the alleged offense between December 2023 and January 2024 in violation of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Related Offences Act 2006. The police claim fingerprint evidence, a confessional statement, and Owoju's identification linked her to the case and sought her remand pending advice from the Director of Public Prosecution. But Ilori denied the allegation, insisting the money was a loan between friends. I obtained a loan of 3 million naira from Philip Owoju. It is not true that I threatened him or hired talks. He is my close friend, she told investigators. Multiple sources told Sahara reporters that Ilori arrests and detention were politically motivated. They described her as a philanthropist who supports widows and women empowerment schemes, alleging that her real offense was her open association with Kayode Ojo, a political rival of Governor Oyebanji. Ilori reportedly accompanied Ojo to Abuja to submit his APC nomination and expression of interest form, during which she was photographed with Isaac Fayose, a vocal critic of Governor Oyebanji. That was what triggered her problem with Owoju, one source said. On her return to Ado-Ekiti, she was attacked and later arrested on trumped-up charges. Sources also pointed out that Ilori had taken loans from Owoju in the past and repaid them, stressing that their fallout was more about politics than any loan default. In a video obtained by Sahara reporters on Monday, Isaac Fayose accused the Ekiti judiciary of being compromised and appealed to the CJN to urgently investigate the matter. He also called on the international community to take note of what he described as an alarming descent into lawlessness. The judiciary that is supposed to protect Nigerians is now being used as a tool of oppression. Just last week, a lady who took a picture with me was arrested, arraigned within 30 minutes, and remanded in Ado-Ekiti prison. Her bail application was frustrated, and the DPP suddenly claimed he has a case to answer and pushed the matter to the High Court. This is travesty. He continued. How can Form K, meant for advance fee fraud, be twisted into a weapon for simple loan dispute? The temple of justice is fast becoming a temple of victimization. CGN, please intervene and save Nigerians. I think that's about that. With me this morning is our in-house analyst, a well-known social analyst and journalist too. Welcome with me, Mr. Akin Adebayo.
Good morning, listeners. It's a pleasure to be on here with you this morning. Good morning.
Yes, we have had the case. We don't have a response from the Ekiti State government yet. But looking at the case, this is a case of, according to the reports that we have before us now, it's a case of somebody going to Abuja with a member of the APC who has just bought his form, taking pictures with somebody who is a critic of the governor, getting back and getting charged for defaulting over a loan of 3 million and ending up in prison, being remanded over that. And the person she's allegedly owing is an appointee of the current governor. How does this entire thing look to you?
Thank you very much, presenter and our listeners back home there. Number one, like we all know, in Nigeria, that's over time there has been the case of extrajudicial activities that normally takes place, particularly when we are approaching the area or the year of politics and politicking. Now, before now, we are very much aware of how the judicial system has been bastardized. Most importantly, or most especially, by politicians. We've had instances whereby we'll be having all manner of injunction on same cases, as you'll be receiving one injunction from lower courts, from maybe high courts, state high courts, you'll be receiving another injunction negating the existing one from federal high courts. And federal high court and state high court, they are of equal jurisdiction. But unfortunately, our politicians, they know how to go about obtaining all these forms of injunction. In fact, if we even had cases whereby there may be a case in, for instance, in Ondo State, we see maybe a politician going to obtain injunction from maybe a federal high court in Sokoto State. What has Sokoto High Court got to do with what is happening in Ondo State and High Court? So we are used to these extrajudicial activities always taking place, particularly when election is about to take place. And of course, that is where the CJN really needs to do a very strong reform, particularly making sure that all this kind of injunction, a check is put to it. So calling the CJN to intervene, particularly when it comes to the abuse of probably extrajudicial activities, then I think it's a clear on call. And the CJN, going by record, I think even during our inauguration, actually promised to bring about some good reforms in the judicial system of Nigeria. That is by the way. Secondly, let's also look at the people that are actually involved in this case. Number one, the lady said that it was a loan. And it was on that ground that Isaac Fayose, which happens to be a younger brother to former governor of Ekiti State, the president of Adele Fayose, and also a critique of the present governor, which his elder brother is supporting by all means. Now, he is only at the mercy of what that lady told him. So if he acts on that, I think to a large extent is very much correct. But I think he should endeavor to take a step further by actually investigating if really it was a loan, as against the allegation being leveled against that lady. You know, Section 419, as we all know, is a criminal offense, obtaining by false pretense. Now that was the charges leveled against the lady.
But the lady said that up until that time she took that picture, the lender and the borrower, that they were friends, that it was a loan taken from a friend, that they were not like, it was not like you approach a loan company to get that money. And the supposed lender now is an appointee of the Ekiti State government, the current state government. What picture does it paint to you generally?
Very good. Thank you very much for asking that question. Like I was trying to say the other time, that was what the lady said. Of course, there might be friends, but when it comes to the issue of politics, as we all know in Nigeria, politicking is one of the most dirtiest games you can get yourself involved in. So you should be ready to face what comes out of it. Now, I'm sure to say this. The loan, let us believe that it was a loan from a friend. But you yourself know that this your friend is an appointee of the incumbent governor. Now, ideally, from my own point of view anyway, you don't beat the finger that feeds you. Now, if at all you know you want to go against your friend that has been of tremendous help to you, then I think what you should have done, first and foremost, is to making sure that you clear anything that might want to use against you. Now, like I've always said, the Nigerian system, the constitution of Nigeria is so, I don't want to delve much into it. There's so more lacuna, there's so more, escape route to it, that a particular law might still be resting now. If you're not somebody that goes against it, that's when the government wake such laws up or such act up, that okay, it is time for you to come into, function. These are the things. So the lady should have known that for her to have gone against a friend of hers that actually loaned her the money, then it should be ready for a fight back. So that's what's just happening there. So I think she should have done her homework very well by first making sure that she cleared anything that might bring about kind of misunderstanding or that might be as a veritable tool in the hands of because the very minute she went to support another person and to obtain, in fact, he went as far as obtaining
this another person is a member of the APC. The current governor is a member of the APC. It is beginning to appear that that's the opinion of many, that it's beginning to appear that in Ondo and Ekiti State, where the APC appears to be strongest, judging by the last election. In the last presidential election, the current president got highest percentage of votes in Ondo, 67%, and in Ekiti, 65%. It appears that the main opposition is within the ruling party, that because of the absence of opposition, that it is members of the ruling parties that are now fighting each other. What do you make of all this?
Very good. Thank you very much. You know, the coming together of APC, as we all know, is the coming together of string bedfellows. If you cast your mind back to how the party APC was formed, it was from some faction from PDP, some from CPC, some from ANPP, and some from NPP. So these are the people that come together to actually form the party called APC. So of course, it is still an opposition within the party itself, because right there, like I said, they are coming together of string bedfellows. So some people might feel that like what is that representing now? Kwankwaso is saying now that if the present APC wants him to align with the APC now, that they must reach a reasonable terms of agreement based on what happened during Buhari era, that his own faction or his own members or his own faction of the APC were neglected. So we never can tell. Maybe that's what you call the obtainable in, because Ayefayoshe younger brother Isaac, I think, is the PDP guy. So probably the lady is of the PDP folks in APC. So now maybe our interest is not, because of course I must say this. If our interest are to be, maybe our interest is well protected in APC, there wouldn't have even been any reason for her to have gone to a fellow friend in that same APC to obtain a loan. So I think
let us look at this again.
Okay.
There are relationships that goes beyond the formation of the APC, the PDP, or whatever party. Are you saying that if I was a friend, if I am a politician and I'm a member of the APC, and I have a friend we went to school back in the 80s or early 90s, and now he's in the PDP or the ADC, that we are no longer friends?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. You see, politics in Nigeria could be so dirty. You see, it is only in Nigeria you hear that anybody that threatens your means of livelihood wants to take your life. So to the lady's friend, he might see his friend that he wants help with the loan as threatening his life by virtue of supporting another person within the party, without being told. We're talking about an appointee of a governor. Now you are a friend to the appointee of a governor. That your friend would have expected you to equally support the candidate he or she is supporting.
Recently, the governor of Ekiti State, Biodun Yebanji, was videoed. There's a viral video online where he threatened his appointee that anywhere or on any platform that he finds a member of his cabinet, his appointee, and that somebody is speaking against him or his program and the appointee did not speak, that the person will be relieved of his job.
Thank you.
What do you make of that kind of leadership?
I really appreciate this. What you just said now is another information entirely. Now, which means that appointee is acting strictly on probably the threat from the governor. That's how it is. But ordinarily, I begin to imagine. You know, if I'm not mistaken, it's not for governor that will do such thing. I think governor of this pastor Eno, I think, said the same thing. That if you know you cannot follow me to the new party I'm going to now, it's better you resign. I mean, our political leaders, particularly those that are the president or the governor, they've turned themselves to, king of the manor. Whereby they believe they can just say all manners and they can threaten anybody. And you know, in Nigeria, God helping us, the very minute such thing begins to come out, then that appointee wants to go extra mile in making sure that he doesn't fall victim of those cautioning. So to me, I don't think the governor, to me, it's uncalled for that a governor should be threatening his appointees, that anybody that goes, any person, maybe friend, associate of yours, that speaks against any of my programs will be removed. So that is how I see it. Ordinarily, such things shouldn't have emanated from a governor. Thank you very much.
Well, listeners at home, you have been listening to the voice of Mr. Akin Adebayo, who is our in-house analyst, and we've been slicing and dicing issues around around Ekiti politics. We shall move to another topic now when we return. Please stay with us. Don't change your dial. If you are just joining us, this is iPower 102.7 FM, Mureile Owo, and this is Political Perspectives, where we take critical look at political events in our country in the last 1 week. And let's go to the second topic of the day. Last week, publisher of Sahara Reporters, who is a known activist and the presidential candidate of the AAC in the last two presidential elections in our country, Comrade Omoyele Sowore, alleged that the FCT minister, the current FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, owned properties worth billions of naira in the United States. In his response to Omoyele Sowore, the media aide to Nyesom Wike said that Sowore has been bribed to allege Wike of wrongdoing. That Sowore he alleged that Sowore, one, received bribe in 2019 in Rivers State to subvert the will of his party, the AAC, to impose a candidate on the party, as at that time he was not just the president candidate of the party, also the national chairman of the AAC, that he received bribe from a relatively unknown candidate to become the candidate of the party. He alleged that he received about $3 million from that person. He also alleged that Sowore had been receiving funds from foreign organizations to train journalists in Nigeria. That Sowore has not been training any journalist. Although I will, from personal experience, I would say that is an outright falsehood. But we are going to lay the cards on the table. In his own response, while appearing on a TV program recently, Wike said that there is actually a house in America, but the house belonged to his children and his wife, who are American citizens. Do not forget that the wife of Nyesom Wike is a justice of the appeal court in Nigeria. That she has an American citizenship and the children also have American citizenship. That she came from a well-to-do family, and it was the parents of the wife who purchased the house for the wife and the children, and that anyone who has documents that can link the money for the purchase of the building to him should come forward with those evidence. What do you make of the entire drama that has been playing out between Omoyele Sowore and Nyesom Wike?
Thank you very, 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 very much. Honestly, it's going to be a very interesting time in this drama that is unfolding between Omoyele Sowore and Nyesom Wike. Thank God that we know the kind of persons both of them are. You know Wike. Wike will always react and respond to any issue that bothers on him. And Omoyele Sowore should know him as well. He will never keep quiet, particularly when it borders on maybe leaders that are not that he presumed or assumed that maybe they are not living up to the standard of providing the expected leadership. So that is Omeni Showore for you. So like I said, it's going to be a very, very interesting time. Be that as it may, I think Showore wouldn't have, and like Wiki have just said now, I think he has buttressed the point that indeed his children are having houses in America. So which means that Showore is correct regarding the issue of Wiki's children having houses in America. But the area of the person actually bought the house is where we are having issues now. That who actually bought the house, of course.
And with which fund?
And with which fund? Thank you very much. Now, as a father, myself, I'm speaking as a father now. I can decide now to buy a house for my children. Of course, it means that the money comes from my own account directly. I think that is what Showore now is now contending with. Thank God that VK has said, good, his children are actually having houses over there. And now I went further by saying that it was that even his wife, and that is where I had issues, concern the issue of the citizenship of Wike's wife and the children. So which means that in the immediate family of Wike is the only Nigerian there now.
Yes.
But that is just the simple interpretation to it. And the wife is equally a justice of the appeal court. I mean, this really gives us, a right-thinking person should be concerned about the citizenship of most of these are politicians. Not just them, their children and family members inclusive. I don't pray anything funny happens in this country. These people do not have citizens of America. I mean, it's disturbing. Some are having out of UK, some are having out of Canadian. I mean, name it. If Showore had not come up to raise this issue now, I don't think anybody knows that Wike's wife and children are American citizens. Well, that's the topic for another day entirely. But what I'm just saying is that those or any person following this politician should just know that you have to play the game with common sense. I don't pray anything stupid happens. These people will not pack their family, bag and baggages, and leave this country. But that is why we must work together in making sure that this country works. That is by the way. Now, the person of Larry Olayinka that happens to be the spokesperson for Wike. That is why, in fact, I even got disappointed with the angle of he's speaking from. That Yorubas will say, Anwiru, Onwiru. An allegation was leveled against your principal. I expected him to have gone on there. Probably the information that Wike just divulged now. He should have been the one to say it. Rather, he was busy saying that he collected bribe. What are we saying? What is he saying? Olayinka is a respectable journalist in Nigeria. So he should know, at least he should have defended the issue of the allegation leveled against his boss first, his principal first, before raising all those issues. Irrespective of what Showore has done, maybe training journalists, and he sold this one and that one, it's nobody's business. And like some people rightly said, from personal experience, that they can say that is not true, which means that indeed
I can say that the allegation that Sahara Reporters has not been training journalists is not true.
Very good. Thank you very much.
It's not true from a personal experience. It's not true. I was part of a program called the GMP, Grassroots News Network. I'm a fellow of the GMP, and I am a beneficiary of that system. In fact, it was through that system that I got my investigative journalism skill properly honed. And we were not just trained, we were well compensated for that training. So it's a fact that can be, so to claim, I'm saying that on a personal note, for the benefit of the listening public and the masses who might not have this information, to claim that Sahara has been receiving money and has not been training people. I was part of that program up to January this year. It's not true. But as per receiving bribe, I do not know Showore's dealing as regards his politics to subvert the will of the members of the party in the Rivers State in 2019. I cannot speak. I cannot hold brief for that. Listeners at home, you can also join us. You can join this discussion. We have talked about the incident in Ekiti State where Isaac Fayose, the brother of former Governor Ayo Fayose, is alleging that someone came to Abuja to take pictures with him and was subsequently arrested and incarcerated in Ekiti State. And we have also been talking about the allegation between the Showore, Omoyele Showore, and Iyesom Wike. You can join us on this number 08165524699, 08165524699. That is our studio number. And now, after this time out, we shall return to Ondo State to discuss the fate of the opposition in Ondo State. Our studio line is 08165524699. 08165524699. This is Political Perspective on iPower 102.7 FM. Murele Owo. Back to Ondo State. On the 17th of September, Supreme Court is case against the election, challenging the election of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa as the duly elected governor of Ondo State. And after that, there has been congratulatory messages pouring in and opinions being shared. One of those who shared his opinion is the executive director of the NDDC corporate services, that's Honorable Ifedaya Begunde, who in one of those news declared that with the events of September 17th, that the PDP is dead, that the final nail has been placed in the coffin of the PDP in Ondo State, that there is no longer opposition, that anyone who intends to play politics now should know that he can only play politics in Ondo State within the structure of the APC. What do you make of statements like this? And what do you make of opposition, the necessity for opposition politics in Ondo State?
Thank you very, very much. Well, the person you just mentioned, the person of Honorable Ifedaya Begunde, he is a politician. And of course, you cannot downplay such statements from an average politician, particularly when your party, the main opposition party, now withdrawing, and probably because according to the information filtering in, that they intend going back to the very, very much correct, because the PDP is the main opposition party in Ondo State. That is by the way. Secondly, when it comes to the issue of opposition in the state, of course, it becomes I'm not surprised that this is happening anyway. Because number one, if you look at the trajectory of the campaign, if the deputy governorship candidate of Agbola Ajayi, in person of Festus Akingbasa, Festus West, it was not the first decamped. So what are we now saying? That is one. Secondly, the principal presence, the strong men, you need followership. You need strong base. The very minute your base is being weakened, as the leader, you have no choice yet. Look, there is no politician, no matter how strong you are, like Yoba goes does. No matter how big, how strong a tree is, it cannot make a forest. Now, elements that could have made you to be a formidable force, at Agbola Ajayi, except we just choose to look at that way side, the other side. Aboriginally is an APC member. We're talking about someone that's a deputy governor under the platform of APC, on the platform of APC. If not for what happened between himself and his principal, then that led to him not being chopped and not coming back again as deputy governor. Do you understand? So he was originally an APC member. So if
are you saying that if, as it has been rumored now, that Honorable Alfred Agbola Ajayi is planning to return to the APC, that if he returns to the APC, he's just like someone returning to his base?
Exactly, it's more of an homecoming. Because, okay, let's look at what led to him leaving the APC in the first place. It wasn't an ambition. It was kind of understanding between himself and his boss. I made him to leave the APC, so which simply means if there had been no misunderstanding between himself and his boss, he would probably still be in APC. Because it wasn't an ambition. It was when he now left that he now said, okay, let me even contest. on the platform of PDP. So if, going by the rumor we've heard, if you go back to the APC, to me, I see it as kind of homecoming. It's just going back to its base. It doesn't make any difference. That is where the issue of opposition comes in. You see, that is why I'm sure to say this. If you want to play opposition, you have to play it very, very well. I will continue to refer to one person as, one of the strongest opposition party in Nigeria, person in Nigeria, then before he became the president, in person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has never, right from the era of the AG to the what have you, he has remained that party. The name is just changing, but he has maintained the vision,
same structure and the same
structure and same vision, and that is what actually faced him this presidency. Now that is where I begin to have issues with people that are jumping from one party under the disguise of carpet crossing. Carpet crossing in Nigeria has become something else. That is why many people politically they are no longer relevant.
Now, so some political observer in Ondo State have said that the absence of opposition party is what is responsible for the slow pace of governance, the alleged slow pace of governance in the state. Would you agree with them?
Of course, to a large extent, I will agree. Because the very minute nobody is, checking, the government, the present government, be it in Ondo State or anywhere, of course, it's a fit for us something. By the time we are all, like your body goes us, we simply, the very minute we all sleep, but then we all be doing the same thing. Who is to oppose the other person? There's nothing like having formidable opposition party. And if it will even put the present government on its toes, it will make him to perform more better. It will, it will erode the docility that probably such state might be experiencing. So, of course, there's nothing like having a formidable opposition. When that, okay, take for instance, let's look at the presidency. And I like the way your thing is just, it puts the president himself on his toes. And that is why we are expressing this reasonable level of, performance. But at the state level where we don't have strong or formidable opposition, then you just do things the way you want to do it. But by the time you know that you have opposition that goes on here, awakening the consciousness of the people to probably the work of the present government, then you know that some people are actually looking out for him. Some people are actually looking for excuses to castigate or to condemn his government. So such thing will put the present government on toes. And there is no doubt it will bring about performances. And that will be better off for the citizens or for the individuals as the case may be. So opposition is something that we really need. If I'm not mistaken, is the only thing that can put, of course, what do you expect? Do you not think if I should be in the government, I will start opposing the government myself? It's not done. If I'm not mistaken, the only time such thing took place was in 2023 election. That the APC themselves, we are opposing Bola Tinubu that wanted to contest for primaries then, even at the general election level. But thank God that man, that is the essence of being in opposition. By the time you stand your grounds, people know you for something. That is not how it will not pay off eventually. By the time you start jumping from one part to the other, like I'm sorry to say this, what does Atiku experiencing? The major thing that brings against him now is the way he has carpet crossed over time in the political space. So opposition, to a large extent, apart from it putting the incumbent government on its toes, it equally makes you to be regarded, makes you to be respected. It makes people to know you that this person stands for this thing, and for that reason, people will respect you. People will love you for it. By the time you start jumping ship from one ship to the other, it directs someone's personality. It directs a political, opinion and views.
Mr. Adebayo, some persons have argued that even in Nigeria, that what we have are platforms for contesting elections. That in the real sense that there are no political parties. They are just associations and platforms created for contesting elections. That when you take a look at our political parties, you see that there are no clear-cut ideological differences. Do you agree?
To a very large extent, I agree with that. Majority of the political parties we are having are just platforms. That is why it is very easy for somebody in ANPP to acclimatize with the party he jumped to. It's very easy. It's the same ideology. Now them, now we. It is same. It's just a matter of old wine in new bottle. The taste will not be different, except for the bottle you are just seeing. So, of course, it's a platform. You don't really have strong, and that is where I have issues with the former head of state, the person of General Babangida. If only he had allowed SDP and NRC to survive, we would have gone past this era. At least it would have been the two most formidable parties, just like America, the Republican and the Democrats. Of course, we have other parties, but those are the two prominent, strong parties in the United States. So if only he had allowed it, we would have gone past this era. And it would have been, that is why we cannot talk about having a formidable opposition. But as it is now, we don't really have any opposition.
I would, before we go today, I would like, let me announce the number first, so that there is still one more question I would love to ask you. Listeners at home, if you still want to join the program, you can join us. You can speak in English, you can speak in Pidgin. And if you are not very vast with the English language, but you've been following what we've been discussing, you can also chip in your opinion in the native Yoruba language. That is permitted on this program. 081-6552-4699. That's the number. 081-6552-4699. Who benefits when there is no opposition, and who suffers?
Thank you very much, presenter. The person that benefits when there is no opposition is the existing government.
The government in power.
The government in power. And the person that suffers are the people. Of course, these are the people, because there's nobody that's actually speaking for them. The work of the opposition should have been that they would have been correcting anything that the government in power is doing that is not beneficiary, to the people. But the very minute we don't have the strong and foundable opposition, then what are we talking about? The people, it definitely suffer. So there's nothing like having a strong and formidable opposition. And I pray that God will just we just take us there. Because the very minute nobody is checking anybody, I must say this, then there won't be checks and balances. Though these are what you expect from the legislative arm, but unfortunately it doesn't exist there. So which simply means that the only person that can bring about a reasonable checks and balances in the system is the opposition. But are we having it? The answer is no.
We got here by discussing the withdrawal of the case before the Supreme Court, the case of the PDP before the Supreme Court. Now that I heard that it was election has been validated by the judiciary. If you have a chance to stand before Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa now, what would you tell him?
Thank you very much. It's very, very simple. Just do things that people will live to remember you for. Because if I'm not mistaken, Honorable Lucky Aiyedatiwa happens to be the only governor so far in history that has won the entire 18 local government, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And that proves, or that shows, and that depicts that indeed the people love him. In fact, going by what he experienced, what he passed through during the travel of his former boss, it's even enough reason for him to perform better, because everybody stood by him. Every radio program, both on print, electronics and what have you, they were all saying that this guy should be in charge. So, but unfortunately, what we're in now is different from what happened then. So I think he should do things that people will live to remember him for, and that people will not regret it. And going by his mantra, ease. We all know what it means to experience ease. People should really experience ease in its real sense of it. So it should, and this thing is, it's not rocket science. If today he chooses to do it the way he should do it, it's not rocket science. And he has the capacity to do it. And if he wants to do it, I pray that God will just grant him the enablement to do it. Of course, there might be some forces. But as a matter of fact, what I will just say is that everything still comes back to its table. Nobody will mention maybe there's any force that is probably advising negatively. that is not making to work the way it should work, those people will not be all responsible then. It will be the one that be held responsible. So I will just advise the governor to please do things that will make the people to remember him for good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, listeners at home. This is where we shall be drawing the curtain on today's edition of Political Perspective on iPower 102.7 FM. My gratitude goes to everyone who has worked with us today to deliver this particular edition of the program. Thanks to the studio engineer on duty today, DPO. My gratitude also goes to the man behind the ICT that is making it possible for people to see us on the internet, Mr. Shegun. I also show my great gratitude to the GM of the station, who is the executive producer of this particular program, Engineer Paul Olotu. And I am also using this opportunity to congratulate the people of Emureile as on Sunday, God willing, the official coronation of our new Elemure will be taking place. And from tomorrow, you have the opportunity to listen to all the cards, congratulatory messages that people have been placing on this station. And the door is still open for anyone who is interested in purchasing the card at a very little amount, and congratulating the Elemure and the Emure community.